25 years of fearless and independent journalism. Hello, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Enforcement of lockdown intensified as drivers complain about lack of business and passengers of Trotro complain they are not being checked. We have been up and about to bring you updates on the lockdown. Drones fly and motors running as disinfection of markets continue throughout the country. Today, officials of the local government ministry in partnership with the Ghana Armed Forces and Zoom Lion have been disinfecting places in Tamale. We bring you details. And on the front line today, we celebrate frontline health workers as we follow persons conducting contact tracing. Also, Kolebu records its first case, and Department of Accident and Emergency doctors who may have been exposed complain of lack of appropriate communication. Join us on DSTV 41, GoTV 144, and on YouTube where we're streaming live. On WhatsApp, you can drop us a message on 0540 109009. The security agencies have today intensified the enforcement of the restrictions imposed by President Akufo-Addo to contain the spread of COVID-19. A good number of Ghanaians have been affected by the restrictions, but some have simply refused to stay at home, despite not having any essential activity to undertake. JoyNews' Joseph Akable this morning spent some time at the Tesano checkpoint and has come through with this report.
You will not go.
I'm going to take medicine with my wife.
That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Somebody was about going to the hospital with proved.
What's the ID card?
A year, just
I give birth at Atomic Community. Atomic.
You will not go. Go back.
So I'm going to take.
Go back. Go back. Driver. Obia unkuta. Just say. Oh yeah, essential. Okay, essential workers no. We don't know much for no much.
I'm here at Tesano, some few meters away from the police station. It's a police checkpoint where they're enforcing the restrictions that have been imposed by government. Some of the passengers in some of the vehicles had some concerns. Their point is that they had been turned away a number of times, and so they've had reason to spend more on the transportation fare than they usually do.
No, we are not shouting about. It's like we've been frustrated on the way before.
Yes, you have been stopped elsewhere. This is another checkpoint. You should cooperate with the security.
Oh, we are very happy with what you are doing. But the mistake you are doing is that they allow private cars. We've seen private cars that small boys are sitting inside. They don't ask them. But the Trotro, unfortunately, we don't have cars. So I have my pass. What you need? Let me come. What you need to do is to at least stop the car and then verify if I have the authority to go. But what they are doing there is they are returning all the cars back. So where am I going to get to Accra?
A private car with people on board. You didn't know the policemen.
They never stopped them. Who were there? They didn't stop them at all. Nobody stopped them.
You are saying it.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you see me? Did you see me at Newcomb?
No, I said at the plane.
Did you see me at Newcomb? No. You didn't.
I saw you.
You didn't?
No. Me, I saw you.
I saw you, yes.
You didn't.
So why is the argument?
Were you not the one who stopped a taxi driver and you were asking the safety side? I was even fighting with the taxi driver with you.
Yeah.
And we were even looking for a car from this gentleman. I even asked him.
Yeah, it's okay, but our problem is the double fare that we are paying is our problem. I don't have a problem with what the security is doing. You came initially and they asked you to go back and you have to come again.
No, it's when we got to Neoplan, the car we were coming with, they stopped us. And then those of us who want to continue, they allowed us to cross to the other side. For this police lady, she saw me. And with my uniform, she asked me to even get closer to one of the military men to assist us. But the problem is, when they stop us, the cars that return, they don't give us change. So what happened is, as we get back on board, we pay another fare. So the aggressive here is that they are paying double fare, which is the problem to us. But what they are doing, we don't have a problem with it. But the double fare we are paying is the problem we are facing. That is our only problem.
You work in a health facility, you are going to work?
Yes, I work in a health facility.
Sure, thank you.
They are just sending the cars back. It's supposed to be so. At least verify if I have the authority to go or not. If I don't have that ID, then you return me back. But they are not checking those things. They just tell the car to go back.
The MTTD commander for the area has been speaking to JoyNews, explaining why they had to turn away a number of the drivers and addressing the concerns that were raised by the passengers as well. What's your name, sir?
My name is Yes Yabuaje, MTTD Commander Testano.
What's your own assessment of the enforcement exercise your men are carrying out?
So far, so good. Within Testano Division, as you can all observe, the drivers are complying with the directives. Those who don't have reasons of moving from one place to another are advised to return to their base.
We observed something. It appears your interaction with the people, still a lot of people don't understand what the directives are and they are not obeying it in simple terms.
That's why police, we are professionals. That's why police are professionals. It is our duty to convince them, for them to know what is expected of all of us. It's all about teamwork and coordination. So if somebody is not getting things right, it is up to you, the security officer, to induce the people for them to know the reason why this exercise is ongoing.
There was one of the buses that they were complaining they had been stopped too many times and they were spending more on the fare going to work simply because you had turned around the car.
Ghanaians should be able to cooperate with the security because it is due to their, I may say, due to their interest. If we should organize one point, what of the other cars which normally comes from any other route. So if you are from Amasaman coming and you stop at No Plan, don't think that's the only checkpoint. There's another checkpoint at Old Station, as well as here, Abeka Junction, and so on, for their own interests and for the interest of the masses. So people shouldn't have perception that why are they being stopped? Why are they not? They shouldn't complain. They should cooperate with the police and the military for us to help each other. Because we need, Ghana is a peaceful country. As Ghana is a peaceful country, we need to maintain that reputation.
This is the situation here at Tesano, a strict enforcement of the restrictions imposed by government. For JoyNews, my name is Joseph Akable.
We have more updates as Ghana's case count goes up to 204. I'll take a very quick break. When I come back, I'll tell you how we're doing as far as the case count. We'll also have more of our look around for the update on the lockdown enforcement coming to you live. We'll also have Frontline will tell you what is happening there as well this day. Welcome back to the show. Let's head straight to the website of the Ghana Health Service and let's find out what the latest is. They've just updated Ghana's case count right now. So we're looking at a figure of 204 at the moment. That's the latest figures from the Ghana Health Service updated figures. Let's go on the website right now and give you that figure. It's 204. cases. That's Ghana's total confirmed cases as of 2nd April 2020 at 2:20 or at 14:20 GMT. Let's take a look at the breakdown of those figures now. All right, so those are your confirmed cases. 115 recovered. We're still at 3. Discharged for home management, 18. Those who are well and those who are responding to treatment at 87. Those in critical condition at 2. Remember, the information minister had indicated that people who are there was none of them were in critical condition as of yesterday when that press conference went on. But right now, we're learning that 2 people are in critical condition. 5 people have died so far. Those who are well and responding to treatment are 87. Those who have been discharged for home management are 18, and those who are recovered are 3. Confirmed cases 115. So in terms of Ghana's situation in the mandatory quarantine, confirmed, that is those who in mandatory quarantine, 79. Those who have recovered, 0. That is, these are figures for those in mandatory quarantine, those who traveled into the country before the borders were shut. Those who have been discharged for home management, 31, and those who are well and responding to treatment, 48. None of them are in critical condition. None of them have died. That's those in quarantine. And then mandatory quarantine in Tamale. Mandatory quarantine in Tamale. Now, the Ghana Health Service is still reporting 10 cases, but we do know that one person has bolted, and security forces within that area are searching for her. None of them have recovered. Of course, we're told that all of them are responding to treatment, but we know that one of them has bolted. Critical condition, none of them, and none of them have died. This is what's happening in the northern region. So you put all of that together, and that figure is aggregated at 204. 204. Yesterday we brought you the story. About the eastern region, one of the latest regions, if you like, to record a case. Initially, the eastern region was not a part of the regions that had cases. Well, this afternoon we're learning that samples of more than 200 workers of AFCON's Infrastructure Limited at Bong, where that Indian expatriate was tested positive for COVID-19, have been taken for testing. We know that samples of more than 200 of the people he may have come into contact with have been have had their samples taken for testing. A team of health workers from the Lower Manya Krobo and ER Health Directorate has since yesterday been screening, and we'll show you videos of that screening right now. A team of health service from the Lower Manya Krobo and ER Health Directorate has since been screening persons who may have come into contact with that Indian expatriate. Let's get on the phone lines and speak to Kofi Siang. Hello, Kofi.
Hello, Gifty.
Kofi, what's the latest on this particular case in that region?
Okay, so Gifty, just as reported yesterday, the officials from the Health Directorate visited the place, and they came back today with their surveillance at the workplace of the company. And as I speak with you, they are still screening the workers who may have come into contact with the Indian who has been tested positive. So I can tell you this afternoon that about 200 of the workers of AFCON's infrastructure have their samples taken. Some of them have been screened, and the health officials say they are taking it to Noguchi for the people there to confirm whether it's negative or positive.
So these workers, these 200 workers whose samples have been taken, are they being quarantined?
Well, they say the person who tested positive, that is the Indian, is a supervisor at the place, and is somebody who has been interacting with the workers often. So what they have done for now is to take their samples, and they've not finished taking their samples. So ask them when they are done with taking the samples, then a decision will be taken as to whether to quarantine them or to monitor them as well.
For me, you've been speaking to some of the workers here at this construction firm. We can hear some of them, and then we wrap up on that with Kofi. Listen.
Panic in the area, but everybody is worried about his life. But one thing that I observed this morning, the government said that the cars that they should take 2-2, and then the taxi should take 2 back, 1 front. This morning, we as a taxi rank at Bong, we arrange that so our drivers are complying with what the government has told us. And all the cars that load this morning to Akate, Ho, Bato this morning, they apply to the rules of the government. But one thing that we see, all the truckers that are loading this morning from Somanya to Akosombo, they are taking 3-3. Some they made see they are overloading the car this morning. Even up to now, if you start at the roadside, you see that the truckers are taking more than what they're supposed to take. And how can we prevent what we don't want? So please, the authorities at the Manya district, especially the MCE, they should make sure that they should, call on all the public, especially the drivers, so that they should educate them. Because this is not one man thing, it concerns all of us. The way we should do it and prevent the diseases among us. So that is what I'll say.
For me, my name is William Apeti. I am a brother to Toby Davo. What I want to say is, this virus that comes, they're supposed to give us better education because the truck that is passing, they are still carrying overload. And it's still dangerous for our lives. And what is going on recently, yesterday, they have found some 2 people around here that they have the virus and they take them to Accra. That means from here we are not safe. We are not safe. So if they will organize some machines and drop the bomb and started testing the people in the area, it will help us a lot. We beg the authorities, they should drop down to bomb. They should drop down to bomb. We are afraid. We are afraid. I beg the authorities that are in charge in Lower Manya, they should come down to bomb. I beg of them. That is the only thing I will say.
So those are some of the residents in the area where the Eastern Region's first case has been recorded. Kofi Siao is our Eastern Region correspondent. He's still on the line with me. Hello, Kofi. So these are people, random people in the neighborhood, not workers of the construction firm that you spoke to, correct?
Sure.
All right. And they seem concerned and they're asking for some sort of mass testing.
Yes, that is what they have been saying. I spoke to a couple of them. This is just 2 of the people I spoke to, but a majority of the people or the residents I spoke to, were all clamoring for a mass testing in the area because they say this Indian and somebody they know, he has been visiting the station and the market to buy from the traders and the drivers. So they are sure that as of now, people might have contracted the diseases they do not know. So it will be very, wise or prudent for the health officials to do or carry out a mass testing in the area. Okay.
So, Kofi, I'm seeing in the videos that you sent right now that we have men who are fully dressed in protective gear and they are interacting with what I believe are the workers at this construction site.
Hello?
Yes, Kofi, the videos that we're seeing right now, we see men who are fully dressed in their protective gear and they are engaging what I believe are workers of this construction site. Yes.
They first had to, visit where the positive person has been quarantined. They did that, and they also had to a few of the people who have been housed in that particular structure. So I can tell you that these are health officials from the Eastern Region and from the Lower Manya municipality in particular, and they are attending to or inspecting the place where the workers that house the headquarters of the Afcon Infrastructure Limited.
And have you spoken to these workers, these construction workers? What did they say?
It's been very difficult getting some of them to speak. I tried speaking to one of their supervisors, and he told me they are not ready to speak to the media.
You say that this Indian also went to a market in the area.
Yes, that is what the traders and the people around told me. He says he's been frequenting the market most of the time, and that it will be very prudent for the health workers to conduct a mass testing in the area because this is somebody they know very well and he's been interacting with the residents in the area.
The health workers who we are seeing in this video right now go to the market.
Hello?
Did the health workers we are seeing right now doing the sampling, did they go to the market?
No, they haven't gone to the market as I speak with you. Their concentration now is at the premises where these workers, live.
Okay.
So as I speak with you, I don't know if that will be done later, but they've not been able to visit the market and the lorry.
Kofi, thank you very much for that update. Kofi Siao is our Eastern Regional Correspondent, bringing us up to speed. Now, yesterday in Lower Manyakrobo, the first case in the Eastern Region was recorded. What you are just seeing right now are scenes from the construction site where the case works or is a supervisor. Health officials, we understand from the district, have gone there to the construction site to take samples of the workers to be sent to Noguchi for testing, further testing to be done to find out. At the moment, we're told that the person who tested positive is in quarantine, but obviously you could see there that the workers have not been quarantined. We'll get more perhaps in the subsequent bulletins. Right now, I'll take you to Parliament, where the minority is describing as inadequate government's allocation of $700,000 to support households affected by coronavirus pandemic out of the $35 million that they're taking as a loan facility from the World Bank. The Deputy Minority Leader, James Aveji, says households should benefit more instead of the amount allocated. He's been addressing the media. My colleague, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who is a parliamentary affairs correspondent, joins me with more. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Gifty.
Right, Joseph.
Just to quickly get into those details.
Right. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just to quickly get into those details, James Aveji, who is the Deputy Minority Leader, he's joining us live here right now, just so we hear from the horse's own mouth the concerns he's been raising at the media briefing he's been addressing. You think the $700,000 as allocated in the loan, the $35 million loan from the World Bank, is inadequate for household and that it should have been more? What exactly is the concern you're raising?
Thank you very much, and then good afternoon. Yes, $700,000, which converts to almost around 4 million Ghana cedis. I don't know what that money can do for the household people who will be affected or who are affected by this coronavirus. If you are borrowing, first of all, the president made an announcement giving hope to Ghanaians that $100 million have been put aside to fight the pandemic, not knowing that money is not available. It is only yesterday that they brought a loan facility of $35 million from the World Bank and the IMF to fight the pandemic, which we approved yesterday. Now, this morning, I made a press briefing to ask the president that, first of all, he should have told Ghanaians that that $100 million is not available. They are not looking for it. But he created an impression, giving hope to Ghanaians that the money was available. Now, the remaining $65 million is something that the president must also come out and tell us how they will get that money. In the report yesterday, they indicated that they will borrow that money, also borrowing, from a facility which earlier was approved by government for a project here in Greater Accra. So they'll be borrowing that $65 million to make up the $100 million. Now the $35 million which are borrowing from the World Bank, they have given us how that money will be disbursed, and they are in 4 components. Now one of the components is about contact tracing, how to locate the people who are affected by the virus and all those issues. And they have allocated over $7 million for contact tracing alone.
Isn't that the big issue now, that people may have gotten into the country just before the lockdown, that didn't allow people to fly into the country, get in, and that the entire nation is on lockdown now because they need to do aggressive contact tracing, they need to get to communities, they've mapped out the specific areas. Won't more resources be needed in that area so the pandemic spread, rather than a focus on maybe doling out more cash to those who...
First of all, who are you going to trace? The people who are possibly infected by the disease. Now you are also preventing people not to be infected. So you ask them to stay home, lock down. These people are people who live on daily income. People who go to work on daily basis and get money to feed themselves. You have locked them up now at home. They don't have any way of going out to go and do their by day or sell and make money. Now you are allocating $700,000 to provide for those people, to support them.
for the loss of income because they are home for the 2 weeks. Yet, you are allocating over $7 million for the contact tracing of people who are affected.
So for you, out of the $35 million, how much should have been allocated, for example, to households in order to support them if you say the $700,000 figure is too small?
Oh, we are saying that they have the data on the number of people who are affected. And if you take the whole country into consideration, or the places that have been locked down, Accra and the environs and Kumasi, we are saying that 700,000 is woefully inadequate, comparing it with the 7 million, over 7 million for the contact tracing.
And how much will be adequate? Well, probably, is that same data based on where they are throwing out the $700 million figure? And they've
it's not $700 million,
$700,000. And they've probably done their mathematics and come to that conclusion
we think that that is woefully inadequate. If they think that they can go and share $700,000 to all Ghanaians who are affected by the disease, so be it. But we think that that money is woefully inadequate.
Even the broader bit of it, that's just the $35 million component. It's possible when the rest of the $65 million come in and they give you the details of that, more may be dedicated to
that is a possibility. So if they can correct that error, where if it's an error in the first place, that they have allocated $700,000 to the household, the $65 million, which we are calling for the details of that, they should make provision for sufficient money for the household.
The final bit, just to clarify with you, you're also raising concerns with the coronavirus alleviation program that the finance minister announced the 1 million cities on earlier in the week when he appeared before Parliament. You think government is not showing enough urgency in getting that out?
Yeah, first of all, it's not 1 million cities. It's 1 billion Ghana cities.
1 billion Ghana cities.
We are reducing the cap, the ceiling of the stabilization fund from $300 million to $100 million. So there is $200 million available. So if you convert it into city, it's over 1 billion Ghana cedis. So the Minister of Finance says that they are going to use 1 billion Ghana cedis for the companies that are affected. Now, it was Monday, 4 days today, that the minister came to the House to announce this. Companies are not working. And if even that one, our issue is that it should not be only companies that are affected. Again, an allocation can also be made from that angle for the household. So we are saying that there is no urgency of the minister of that. You came to the House Monday, 4 days today. Why can't you come to the House and bring that program for members of Parliament to see how you are going to disburse the 1 billion? Who are the beneficiaries? Which company are going to benefit? And then if you are giving money to the household, how much percentage you are giving to the household? All those issues must come, but the minister is not coming. We have only today, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday we are rising. So we are calling on the minister to urgently come to the House and bring that program so that we can approve it for Ghanaians to take something and live on.
Many thanks for speaking to us. James Klucha-Veji is Deputy Minority Leader, raising those concerns there about the coronavirus alleviation program and also the $35 million World Bank facility. Let's get a quick reaction to that. The Member of Parliament for Bantama, he is a member of the Finance Committee, Daniel Ochima-Boaji. So when is the Finance Minister coming to deliver that particular document on the coronavirus alleviation program to MPs? When he spoke in the House on Monday, he said he was coming the following day. It's been 3 days and the House is rising the day after tomorrow.
Well, but Joe, let's not forget that if the House rises, okay, and we have to be called back, we'll be called back. The President said we are not in ordinary.
But if it's an urgent issue, why isn't he dealing with it as urgently as it's...
There's a general formula. When the government announces a bailout like this, companies will apply showing hardship and justification why they need to be provided opportunity. I think if they are working on it and they are not done, we should be patient. After all, the effect is coming, as we are going on recess and people have been asked to partially lock down and stuff like that. And so I think it's going to come out.
The broader issue, $35 million, that's the World Bank loan that's coming in. Only $700,000 is going to households. The minority thinks it's woefully inadequate and that allocation should have been more than the $700,000.
I'm not sure if my honorable leader, James Avenya, was properly informed by his colleagues. Unanimously, at the committee level, we supported it. whatever the components are to deal with the issues, we support it.
It sounds like he supports it, except that he still thinks it's the figure which should have been up.
Joe, no country is fully prepared for this pandemic, right? And this is evolving. The response is evolving. If it means the president has to make adjustment for us to add more, do you think he's going to just sit down? No way. It's not going to happen like that. So I'm surprised he was raising the issue that $700,000 is not good. It's an initial effort that the government is putting forward. And I'm glad you picked him on the part that is going to companies. He said people are staying home. Yes, people are staying home. Some of them are operating small and medium-sized companies that also benefit from this 1 billion, what do you call it, 1 billion provision that the government has made. So I believe it's a matter of time. The president has shown true leadership in dealing with this pandemic, and we should all unite and support him. Even if mistakes are made in the process, they'll be corrected. Even if the government has to take actions without parliament, they can be brought in later for ratification. So I think we should unite. If we were to follow everything the minority is saying, probably Ghana will have been worse. Don't forget, when the problem started, say go and bring our students from China. Go to Algeria and Egypt and those countries that brought their students here and see the rate. So I believe sincerely that Parliament, both sides of the aisle, needs to unite and support the president in times such as this to deal with this pandemic. And
there's no guarantee that this may be approved before the House rises on Saturday, which is mainly the concern that MPs are raising. Now they're dealing with other issues having to do with the trust fund and all. Will there be adequate time for them to do this before?
As we speak, tomorrow the Finance Committee of Parliament is considering three referrals that at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we are working. If the minister is able to bring it in time, so be it. We'll come, we'll show up and work. If we have to be called back, it's not strange. We are not in all right times. We show up and support the president to continue to lead. As our friends in the minority, the least said about them, the better. But we also want them to also understand that the alternative government, there's not time to do politics with what we are trying to do to solve these problems. So they should come and let us all put our heads together and deal with the problem.
Daniel Achimabuaji is the NPP Member of Parliament for Bantama. He's a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament with those reactions to the concerns by James Kluche Aveji there. Just to round up very quickly, Gifty, on the floor of Parliament late last night, the Attorney General laid before Parliament the COVID-19 Trust Fund Bill, which is seeking to establish a fund that ordinary people can contribute to in order to allow for those who are suffering as a result of the spread of the virus to actually draw from. That document was referred to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament earlier today via initial report approving that Parliament passes this under a certificate of urgency was actually approved at plenary. So the indication we get is worst case scenario before the House rises on Saturday, they would have passed that particular legislation. But there were broader concerns that came from the minority MPs. Ben Ahiafo, who is a member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, pointed out that when the president disclosed details of this particular fund over the weekend, he named the board of trustees, including Sophia Akufo, who is the former Chief Justice. And then he pointed out that the documents that has been laid in Parliament provides the specifics on how the trustees can be appointed and who should chair it. So he thinks it amounts to an illegality that the president has gone ahead to appoint the said trustees before the legislation actually came to Parliament. But he got a response from the Speaker, Professor Michael Kwe, who made the argument that in the details on who the trustees are that the president put out over the weekend, it was just an announcement of intention and not specifically an appointment. And so, as and when the document becomes law, the president will do the proper thing and appoint them. And so we gather that the Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs is meeting this afternoon as they make some amendments to that particular document, which will eventually be approved between today and Saturday for that particular fund to become legal. Gifty.
Looks like a lot going on there in Parliament. Joseph, thank you very much for those updates. And I'm curious to find out whether the members of Parliament are observing social distancing in the House. Joseph.
They are in their masks. That I can say for certain that virtually all the members of Parliament, including the Speaker, are in their masks. You know, the way the chamber and the configuration doesn't allow for social distancing because the seats are very much close to one another. and there are a lot of them. And you know, the interesting bits and an observation that First Deputy Speaker Jose also made recently is that following the lockdown, a lot of MPs are showing up on the floor to come see to business, probably because they don't have anywhere to go. That was the observation of Jose Wilson. So my point is, we have a situation where there are a lot of them in the chamber currently, but they are crowding up the seats as the seats have existed long before, and you don't exactly see a case of social distancing happening right in the chamber. Gifty.
Oh, we'll see how we'll see about that. And Joseph, thank you once again. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our parliamentary affairs correspondent, joining us live from Parliament, where he brought us those details. The $3.5 million facility that we're getting from the World Bank, as you may well be aware, we have 70,000 of that amount being allocated for households. The minority say that is not enough. They also have concerns with membership of the COVID-19 Trust Fund bill. The trustees, they don't really approve of the members on it. They've raised that as well. Joseph says between now and Saturday, we'll get a lot more things straightened out. Now, let me tell you more about the lockdown. In the past few days, as you're well aware of, residents of some of our major cities here in this country have been ordered by the president to stay at home, except for people offering essential services in order to slow down the spread of coronavirus. A joint team of police and military have been tasked with a humanitarian operation to only allow people with essential services to go about their business. There have been concerns raised by the police and the citizenry as well. Today, we engaged the Ghana Police Service, which is leading the operations on the AM show, assessing the enforcement of the President's directives so far. They answered questions from viewers as well. Here is a wrap.
Some interactions between the police and citizens during the lockdown period. Essential service providers, people with tangible reasons to be on the streets, have been given access through many of these checkpoints dotted along the main roads in the two affected cities. Viewers of Joy News were today given the opportunity to ask various questions on the operations since it started on Monday dawn. These were largely on alleged police and military brutalities, vehicles and some essential service workers being asked to return. DSP Efiatenge, Public Relations Officer for the Accra Police Command, Chief Superintendent Kwesi Fori, Director General in charge of Operations Accra Command, and Deputy Commander of the Ashanti Region Police, ACP David Ajiman Ajem, had the answers.
And our reporters confirmed this yesterday. Sometimes you return the commercial vehicles, but within the trotros, you would have maybe a nurse or somebody who is in the exempt category. Why do you do that?
I think two things. What we realize is that sometimes the vehicles, you ask the persons in the vehicle and you realize that most of them, as my colleague said, are just coming to town for nothing. They may not have any tangible reasons for coming to town. And let's assume that a trotro that has, say, 10 persons and only one person is in the exam. I mean, I think it's prudent to let that one person come out, find alternate transport for the person, and ask the others to go.
Because the way they are mishandling, especially the youth, is not fair. Me, myself, I've witnessed not twice, more than because who MC Assembly has come out on the Israel FM. I'm sure it's one of the most major radio stations.
Throughout our briefings, we've impressed on the officers not to do that. But of course, the few recalcitrant ones will do that. But what we are doing is that if anybody suffers anything like that, we should make a report and we'll deal with these up. Again, you were asking why people are walking alone and we accost them.
Exactly.
Yes, but the thing is that we said there's a restriction. People must not come to town unless for specific reasons.
Viewers also had questions on why some of the team leading the operations had no personal protective equipment. DSP Efiatinge said the service took delivery of some and it will soon distribute to the personnel.
In that regard, I think we received a number of PPEs that were supplied to them. I am yet to also find out why they are doing this actually without gloves, because most officers have been issued with such gloves to work with them, so that they themselves do not expose themselves to the danger that as we are all fighting.
JoyNews' Roland Walker had an experience of how some communities have scaled up security presence than others. Listen to the response from Chief Superintendent Kwesi Fori.
Each community has its own history and what happens in them. And one thing I will say is that we are not discriminative, but in line with our operation order, we know where challenges are. We know where we have lesser challenges. And for instance, the Sherman that you spoke of, the population is very huge, and the police have to make sure that they put stringent measures on the ground to make sure that people comply with. For instance, it's legal, not that people don't violate some of the regulations. We see people driving around and we stop them, check them, and we ask them to go back and so forth. There are also a lot of infractions in those communities. But one thing is, as I said, the police have that discretionary power. And every situation demands a strategy within the larger frame. So all that we are doing at Ashama, Nima, Sukura, and all those things are in line with the prevailing situation.
He had an appeal to the general public. Those that are not providing essential services will not be allowed to compromise their operations.
Make sure that you take good care of yourself. Stay at home. Don't go out there. And you know, even some have even deceived the police who are going to the former station. And don't forget, we have the CID and we have intelligence-led systems, you know, to track. And you follow the person and you see that person will not go to pharmacy shop, but rather you find him at a beer bar. There we have to smoke you out and ask you to go. Either we arrest you or we send you to the police station for questioning. But one thing is that let us play it safe, because when you take it on a much lighter note, there is the likelihood that you might infect others, even your loved ones, in your own house or community. Therefore, let's be serious about it. The police will prosecute this agenda and will not abuse human rights of individuals. Will make sure that rather we look up to the law and the regulations guiding this exercise. The operational teams are out there, and we are doing everything possible with our sister security agencies, the military, you know, to make sure that we protect the good people of this country. And those who have decided, you know, to take the laws into their own hands, to challenge authority and so forth, will not be allowed.
Chief Superintendent Kwesi Fori rated the operation so far.
The operation has been good. It has been well directed by commanders, and we are doing great day 3.
Okay, let me ask you, on a scale of 0 to 10, how will you rate the operation so far?
For day 3?
Yeah, yes.
It may be 8/10.
In all, it was a good interaction that brought some clarity, but at the heart of all that was the need for the public to stick to the rules, as this scholar said.
Comment on this issue on the role of the police and the military. As a matter of fact, if we can leave the military and the police to do their work, because I just stepped out and came back, some drivers are just misbehaving. They are misbehaving, and they need to be disciplined. Let us not restrict them. You see, no policeman or military man will intentionally decide to beat a driver.
There are 10 more days of the president's directive to go, and it's still #stay at home and save lives to help break the chain of the virus.
Henry Kwesi put together that report. Now, 3 days ago, there were homeless headquarters on the streets of Tudu struggling to get out of Accra in time for the lockdown deadline. Today, their story has changed. They do not only have a place to lay their hairs, but they also have new mosquito nets and blankets to protect them and their children from the weather. PSA Nanaya Osafo was there yesterday when NADMO visited the state shelter for the 100 previously stranded people. He tells their story in this report.
She cannot look me in the eye as she narrates her ordeal these past few days. Tears roll down her cheeks. The attempt to go back home in the wake of restrictions imposed by the president had been full of pain and frustrations.
Our woes were many at that point. The vehicle was low on fuel, the car was faulty, and our driver had been beaten as he tried to smuggle us out of a car.
I met Nafisa again on Wednesday afternoon at her new sleeping place, a shelter that had been provided by government. She was not crying this time. She was beaming with smiles and full of praise.
I'm truly relieved now. For the past 3 days, my mother has been sobbing bitterly. Today I told her to stop crying. The battle is over. Government has come to our aid.
Even though she slept rough on the first day, that has changed. She's benefited from NADMO's relief items, which includes mattresses, mosquito nets, and cups. Director General of NADMO, Eric Ajiman Prempe, said the move was only part of a big national agenda.
Ashanti region, where there are other places also, we have identified some other places, so we're going everywhere. Wherever we find Ghanaians who, as a result of this lockdown, are in dire need, we need to give them relief, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Cynthia Morrison, highlighted the need to enforce the rule on social distancing due to the high numbers.
The adults are 47. With their children, we are getting to close to 100 or so. But the only thing is that a mother will sleep with a child. And we are showing them how to do the social separation. So that if the mother's head is facing this way, the child will face the other way so that they don't inhale, the things from each other.
For Nashira, another porter I spoke to, the happenings were too good to be true.
We didn't even have water to drink. Upon arrival here, we have been fed. There's enough to drink. We've had our baths and visited the washroom free of charge. It had been 5 days since I last had a bath. We're truly grateful.
Oh, baby, 5 days. 5 days.
She wore a broad smile, something she had not done in a long time. PSA Nana Yaosafo, JoyNews.
Not everybody has a great story to tell today. A 67-year-old widow allegedly assaulted by a police officer at the Accra railway station says she's currently in severe pains. Grandma Florence had gone to the market to retrieve bulk groceries that she had ordered to stock up her shop. She tells JoyNews. She instructed the porter carrying her goods to return after the police officer ordered all traders there to do so. This is despite the fact that people in the food value chain were exempt from the restrictions. Florence finds the assault on her by the police officer simply unjustified. She wants the law to take its course. Nancy Emefa Dosi visited and has been talking to her.
Ever since the lockdown began on Monday, there have been several videos on social media circulating of alleged brutalities meted out to ordinary Ghanaians by the military and police. Today we heard from Brigadier Abraham Yebua Insia, who has denied the claims. He says only one video has been drawn to their attention, and even with that video, the officer in charge has been recalled. Yesterday in the evening, there was a certain video circulating of a woman who was in the market crying and lamenting about how she was abused. I'm in front of the woman who was in that video yesterday. This is her shop. She's supposed to be seated here selling her wares today. But no, it is her daughter that is in charge this morning and taking care of everything. We understand she's at home. We want to speak to her and find out her side of the story. benko wedding.
Ngwanya Florence Ami Ada.
Okay. Yeah, I could share do
Adana tomatoes tadi ala. Tin tomatoes and more. Plunging with a share.
Okay. Basically what she's saying is that she sells tomatoes, pepper, everything that you need as ingredients for your kitchen. Echo fiame people be video there and not a channel social media. Mele o ko mekpo menya be diami ga kemeje ma ko video fia we kpo be de atan just atan gbo be we nto ma le video mena sia ta ewe male begbedoa okay ta mekukulo atanchi na mi chiejo echo ahe ya siema
atoma ala boda gba fana mi be mi ameyo no anukukulo drama mi ataya shima atoma mi mafon ko yembo.
I went to the market at dawn to buy foodstuff for my shop. After buying all that I needed, I got a head porter to help me. On our way to the rolling station, a policeman instructed me to return. I obliged and called the head porter to also follow me. On our way, I felt a very sharp pain on my waist. I turned, and the policeman had hit me twice with a standing broom. I started shaking uncontrollably, and the tomatoes I carried on my head fell. Marks sustained from the alleged assault are still visible. She is unable to go about her normal duties. She broke down as she shared with me her worst fears. I was taken to the hospital yesterday. I was given some medicine. The pain is unbearable. I was really hurt and sad yesterday. I cried all night. I am scared this will affect my health. I don't want to die. My children are still young. Because hey, we into hey that CMA in the calculator time maybe about plan we about jirana view.
Covo, minha pongada, minha do. La wam jim do dala. Tomato si plan mo ela. Ya, my mama dira plata. Ma plan juju dala. Ma to non kaka umeko. Okay.
Florence says she went back to the market with her eldest son to find the police officer who abused her. But the officer denied knowledge of the video. We went back to the rolling station last night. We met him. My son confronted him and he denied being there, but later admitted he was around in the morning, but refused to accept that he was the one that hit me.
In the
viral video, Madam Florence, out of pain, cursed the policeman for the assault. But now she has taken back her words, adding she has forgiven him. Nothing to tell him. He went contrary to what God said, that we should honor the elderly and our parents. I am old enough to be his mother, but I forgive him. Madam Florence prays this does not happen to any of her colleagues ever again. Madam Florence,
Nancy Emefa Jadosi filed that report. Well, following that broadcast and sharing of the story on social media, there have been various reactions to it, and Nancy will bring that to us, those details to us. But let's make the work easy for all of us. Let's stay at home. But for security agencies, you have been told this is a humanitarian intervention. Let's do so and observe those. I want to take you to Kumasi before we go to Germany, where Thomas Sparrow is standing by. What is the story in Kumasi? What do the checks reveal? Ohime Interior joins me live to give us that report from Kumasi. Hello, Ohime.
Hello, Gifty.
Go ahead and tell us how the enforcement of these restrictions are going.
Yes, Gifty, in some instances, the enforcement is going on well, whilst in other instances that I have witnessed, people are going about their normal duty, filling the streets as usual, as if nothing is happening. This is the main Doom KNUST stretch. On a normal day, this would have been an area noted for heavy vehicular traffic. But because of the lockdown, almost every vehicular traffic on the road has disappeared. All you see are few vehicles that ply this particular route. But on the normal day, the volume of vehicles that ply this route is in excess of thousands, but few of them are applying the route now. In areas like Aswase and Sawaba, especially in Sawaba, where we monitor the development, people were on the streets as if nothing is happening. Though on few occasions you see the police military team patrolling the streets. When I spoke to some of the residents, they told me, yes, in their case, the government will have to pay some little attention to their plight because they don't have anything at home and they have to go out to find something that they can use to feed their families. So after Sawaba, Bantama, Krofrom and other areas where the military and the police team have been patrolling, enforcement is a bit higher. The people have responded and they have heeded to calls of authority not to fill the streets. But I must say in Aswase and Abuabo and then Sawaba areas, the number of people on the streets are a bit higher. Just this morning, we have been speaking to the Central Command over a viral video involving a young man who, in the presence of two others, were being asked by a military officer to do ups and downs in what they describe as a punishment for going out at that particular point in time. In that video, the young man was seen throwing blows at the military officer, something that the military high command says they are investigating after it came to its attention. Gifty.
Ohime Interior, I'm sure Ohime will bring us a report in our subsequent bulletins. Ohime, thank you. Ohime Interior join us there from Kumasi. I'm taking you out of the country right now. Well, the AP News is reporting today that scientists have developed a testing process in Germany that is significantly reducing the stress of COVID-19 there. Let's get more of that. Thomas Sparrow is political correspondent with our partners DW. He's joining us from his home, from where he's working in Germany. Hello, Thomas. Hello, Thomas. All right, so we'll bring you Thomas Sparrow from Germany. It appears he's unable to hear me at the moment. So if you're just joining us, the case count for Ghana has risen to 204. We're looking at 204 people with coronavirus here in Ghana. We'll bring you more after this. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Like I indicated earlier, the AP News is reporting today that scientists have developed a testing process for Germany that is significantly reducing the stress and the pressure on Germany's health system that's been brought by COVID-19. We'll go straight to Germany, where Thomas Sparrow, political correspondent with our partners DW, is standing by with more. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Gifty. Nice to be with you once again to talk about all these interesting and important developments, both here but also in your own country as well.
This testing, the AP News is reporting that the scientists in Germany were able to develop a certain test. What is this test?
Something very interesting, Gifty, about the situation in Germany is that Germany has a high number of infected people, around 80,000. But if you look at the death rate, at the numbers of people who have actually died, that is comparatively low. It doesn't reach the 1,000. And if you compare that with other countries in Europe, that is very, very low. So when you look at the possible reasons behind this, when you look at why Germany has such a high number of infected people, but such a low number of people who have actually died, the reason, or at least the main reason, seems to be that these tests to try and identify whether people are positive, whether people have coronavirus. That helps actually the country identify very, very easily, very quickly, whether there are people who may have coronavirus but may also have at the same time mild or no symptoms at all. And what Germany has been doing is testing from the very beginning of the crisis, so when numbers were very, very low, and increasing the number of tests. And if you ask scientists here, they say that Germany now has the capacity to do up to 500,000 tests a week. And again, that is more than other countries. There are other reasons as well that explain why Germany may have that very low death rate, and that also includes obviously the health system here and the fact that Germany has many more intensive care beds than other similar countries in Europe.
And so are these tests any different from the usual tests that are being conducted around the world? Is there anything different that Germany is doing?
Those tests are actually the tests to identify whether people are positive or negative when it comes to coronavirus. The difference in Germany lies in the fact, A, that they began very, very quickly with that. So basically when the situation was very bad in China, but also beginning in Germany. So they began really at the beginning of the crisis. And second, that they've been increasing the numbers exponentially. And that's something that scientists and political analysts here have been pointing as a key reason to explain why Germany has this development that I've been mentioning to you. So it's the very high number of tests and the fact that they began with those tests very quickly. I don't know if other countries are doing it exactly the same, for example, in Africa, or how Ghana is carrying out those tests, but at least from the German perspective, this seems to be a key reason why. If you compare Germany to other European countries, it may have a very high number of infected. In fact, Germany is among the top 10 countries of infected cases, but at the same time, if you look at those who have died, that remains comparatively low.
Right. Thank you very much, Thomas, for that update. But quickly, before you go, yesterday I indicated that here on this show we'd like to celebrate those at the front line who are much more at risk of being exposed to persons who have contracted coronavirus. Do you have an update on how these people in the front lines, being it security workers, being it health workers, are being celebrated in Europe?
They're being celebrated across Europe by, for example, clapping at a specific time, applauding the work that they're doing. But something interesting, Gifty, is that what many of these healthcare workers are asking for is much more than simply applause. What they're saying now is that they've been asking for a long time for higher salaries, for example. Obviously, now they're on the spotlight and they're saying, you can realize how important our work is, and that realization of the importance of our work should come hand in hand, not only with applause, but also with better wages. So that's one element that's being discussed here in Germany, but in general in Europe, you can see that there is an understanding of the risks involved by those people, of the work that they're doing, and specifically of how important, how essential the work that these people are carrying out to keep us all safe and to be able to reduce those numbers of infected people and those who are affected, to try and treat them as good as it's possible in given the current circumstances.
Thomas, thank you for today's update. We'll come to you again tomorrow for more. Thomas Sparrow is political correspondent with our partners DW. He's joining us all the way from Germany, from his home, where he is working because of the COVID-19. Now, as the fight against the deadly coronavirus continues, Director General in charge of Public Affairs of the Police Service, Superintendent Sheila Abeye Buckman, has reiterated the need for the public to stay at home in order to save their lives. Superintendent Buckman made this call when the Lebanese Cultural Center donated some food items worth 100,000 Ghana cedis to the Ghana Police Service. JoyNews' Evans Aziamo Mensah was there and has this report.
Plastic food containers, hand sanitizers, and gas stoves worth 100,000 Ghana cedis were donated to the service. Secretary to the center, Ali Taleb, believes this will help complement the supply of items to the police service as they put themselves out there to ensure public order.
We are here to offer some donation to police for helping them in controlling this pandemic. We really appreciate their work, their job. How are they doing a lot of efforts in order to control this pandemic. We appreciate them, and we are really sure that they know how to distribute those donations for the people who need it. We offer some food items, we offer some sanitizers, detergents, everything needed in order to help people in this current situation.
Director General in charge of Public Affairs, Superintendent Sheila Abeye Buckman, says the public should adhere to the stay-home directive by the President in order not to endanger their lives.
As particularly the security personnel who are at fixed duty points, who will not be able to move about to get food and all. You know, we have catering services, so it will be useful to get them served, particularly at the vital installations and the quarantine centers. So that's what we are going to use it for. And then let me also take opportunity to tell people to stay home. Stay home. Stay home. The reason for all this is for you to stay home, so we will stay out and keep you safe. We do not want any more coronavirus cases in Ghana. We want the paramedics to be protected to contain the coronavirus. So please stay home for us.
Evans Aziamo Mensah's report for JoyNews.
Drones flying, motors running as disinfection of markets continue throughout the country. Yesterday, officials of the local government ministry in partnership with the Ghana Armed Forces and Zoom Lion disinfected places in Tamale. Excerpts from there.
Prayers from Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, tasked to do the disinfection exercise by 6 a.m. had assembled at the forecourt of the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council. With their spraying machines strapped at their backs and a face mask that covers the mouth and the nose, the listing will wrap attention address from the Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Sali.
In all, about 110 places shall be sprayed. So far, 338 sprayers have been deployed to these 110 centers. It is our expectation that the exercise will ensure that bacteria and other viruses that are in our markets will be sprayed, and then they'll become impotent, so that people will not be infected.
Today probably will have been one of the busiest days at the War Market because today is the War Market Day. Traders and the market queens have complied to the fullest the order not to open their shops to enable them perform the national exercise. So the only people busy at the War Market and the Lorry Park today was the over 3 dozen sprayers tasked to do the exercise. They did it with aplomb and dexterity. The Upper West Regional Minister and his team then moved to Nodoli, where they inspected the daily and weekly markets being disinfected by 20 sprayers. District Chief Executive for Nodoli Kaleu, Catherine Lankono, disclosed that as a measure to prevent the people from being infected with the coronavirus, they have placed a 2-week ban on weekly markets in the district.
Because of the influx of people from the partial lockdown cities, we as a district have instituted a 2-week ban on our weekly markets. We can only have the daily markets so that we don't encourage people coming together and mingling with other people, so that because the market, you cannot enforce social distancing. It's a busy market, and then we rather to save lives, rather that they don't come for the weekly markets.
Same measures have been instituted by her colleague in neighboring Jiriba on the market, but which are tougher.
The ban is going to take place as long as we are told that COVID-19 is no longer increasing, it is decreasing. If it's decreasing and ending, then we'll lift the ban. But for now, all weekly markets are banned.
The team rounded the tour at the Babele market, one of the biggest markets in the region. Municipal Chief Executive for Laura, Martin Bombe, noted that the greatest challenge they are facing is the influx of foreigners who enter the country through unapproved routes. He disclosed that 8 Burkinabés were arrested yesterday.
The task force leader, who is the immigration commander for the Laura municipality, yesterday intercepted some Burkinabés who illegally entered Ghana. And so the task force we have constituted, the task force is to ensure that along our borders, they ensure that people don't cross from Ghana to Burkina Faso, and Burkinabés don't also cross into Ghana.
So these 8 people that have been arrested, what happened to them next?
Well, they were arrested yesterday in the evening, and they detained them, and then this morning they escorted them to Burkina Faso and then left them. I'm yet to get the feedback because I'm in the field. Usually at the end of every day, the task force will come and brief the Municipal Security Committee, and so I'm sure he'll be briefing us.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
There was pandemonium in Tema Community 18 when residents massed up in front of a building they claim would be used as an isolation center for COVID-19 patients. A clergyman, Bishop Titio Fair, offered the 100-bed capacity edifice for use in the fight against the deadly virus. But the residents say they have fears they could be infected too if the facility in the community is used for that purpose. Experts have dismissed those concerns, but the people would not relent. If Evans Chinnery has more.
Let's wait and see. You have been reassured. Yes, please.
The man,
we have
been reassured by the MP. No, by the MP, not this man. By the MP. Yes, and we confronted the man ourselves.
Anger and confusion. The look on the faces of residents here at Tema Community 18. These residents say they will not rest until something is done about the situation. Here's one of them.
2 days ago in the evening, found it on Facebook of a post by Reverend Titio Fair that he's giving this facility that you see here to be used as isolation center. And knowing all the issues with this COVID-19 disease, we were a bit alarmed. So yesterday in the morning, we met him here. We engaged him, and he says, okay, he will consult the minister about it, because prior to this, we believe there should have been a community engagement, which wasn't done. Yesterday, during the daytime, our guys here were on guard, looking at what's happening. Then we found out that some doctors and nurses came around, they left. Nobody was engaging us anymore. But this dawn, we heard that the place will be handed over to the ministry. So it was like all that we said yesterday had fallen on deaf ears. And looking at the fact that even the WHO accepts that this sickness under certain conditions can be airborne. And the facility itself is located within a community with all these people. I mean, even a properly designated isolation center, people are escaping from there. If somebody escapes from these gates, he's like anybody within the community. And also looking at the seriousness of the disease, we are of the view that this cannot be used for isolation center. It can be used for any other purpose, but not for an isolation center.
Ishmael Olenu is a caretaker here. He says the facility will rather be used as a residence for doctors and nurses and not as isolation center, as it's been claimed by the residents.
This morning I came here and I saw that there were a whole lot of people around, and their concern was that we are giving our facility for an isolation center. And I've been trying to calm them down, to tell them that it is not an isolation center. None of them was ready to listen until the MP of the area came, Honorable Carlos Ainkra, to assure them that we didn't give the place to them to use it as an isolation center. Rather, what they had wanted to use the place for is to keep doctors and nurses that are traveling from far to come and take care of patients. So we never intended giving the place for an isolation center. We were just trying to give help.
Right after this interview, the people approached Mr. Olenu and tried to attack him for saying the building would be used for other purposes. Residents here are not practicing social distancing. Is it because they are angry, or they care less about the possible implications this might have on their health?
Reverend Titi Ofer himself has issued a statement. It says that it has come to my attention that the residents close to the facility I offered to the government to be used as part of our nation's efforts to fight COVID-19 are protesting against the decision. He says, whilst I believe that determining the risk associated with the usage of the facility must be the work of the experts, I respect the right of my neighbors to express their concerns in any way they deem fit, even though I thought the best approach would have been to speak with the Tema West Public Health Directorate for advice. I wish to assure cherished neighbors that the offer was done in good faith. However, in the spirit of good neighborliness, I have decided to offer the other forms of resistance in the fight against COVID-19. God bless our homeland, Ghana. And it's signed Reverend Citizen Gideon Titi Ofer. Welcome to Frontline. Today, I bring you the story of frontline workers who are doing contact tracing, as well as doctors and nurses who have come in contact with a case now confirmed positive at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. It looks like all of them will have to be quarantined and tested. Contact tracing is essentially identifying or tracing people who may have come into contact with someone proven or tested to have been positive to have been infected with coronavirus. A number of those people in Wejak are doing a great job putting themselves at risk to help trace people who may have been infected with that virus. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has been talking to some of them.
Municipality that started on last Tuesday, and currently we deployed 39 teams to the field, and we have 14 electoral areas. So what we're doing is that we're working currently in 6 electoral areas. We started on Tuesday. We're finishing these 6 electoral areas today, and we'll move to the other areas. We're using 10 days to do the testing for the whole municipality. And what I can say is that it's going well, though sometimes the logistics, we don't receive them on time. But so far, so good. Because when we started on Tuesday, we deployed 22 teams. We had all the logistics, and then they moved to the field. Yesterday, we had 38 teams. And then they also had the rest. But today, I think the logistics came in late, and we were left with some few nose masks to be given to the teams. But that's at 12 o'clock, they've all left for the field. And today we are deploying 39 teams to 6 electoral areas. And just as I said, we are doing mop-up for today, and then tomorrow we'll move to the other electoral areas.
I see the issue of logistics It keeps coming up everywhere you go. How, in your own way, are you trying to resolve it so that we're able to deploy the officers or the field officers on time and to be sure that we're able to meet the timelines that we've set for ourselves?
Thank you very much. For the items that we can procure within the municipality, quickly, just as the nose masks, when I met with this, I told you we're going for some nose masks for the team. And most of them comes from their store, from the regional stores. And then what we're doing is that before 8 o'clock, they need to receive all the items. And just as I said, from Tuesday, Wednesday, the items came. Some came late, but by 12 o'clock, they were off to the field. It's only today that I think we were short of the nose mask. And then assembly quickly had to go and then procure some for them so that they can be on the field. And then what we are also doing is that anytime there's a need for anything, we quickly try as much as possible to support them to be able to do the task as is expected of them.
Apart from the protective gear, do you also need some other things, say vehicles or other logistics, to help with what you're doing?
Yes, for vehicles, we are for the 32 teams, we are using only 6 bus, 1 bus, and then 6 pickups. If we're to have about 10 or 15, I believe, because some of what we're doing is that the vehicles will take some, drop them and come back, so it even delays. If we're able to start early, we'll be able to cover a lot of people. But because we have only few vehicles conveying this light team, they have to go and then come back picking them, and it delays the process. And then we also need fuel. We need to motivate the staff to be able to do it. But now they all understand. We've spoken to them. We've told the team, the members, we've told them that it's difficult times. So they all sacrifice, but sometimes they come very hungry and thirsty. So we're trying to find some support for them. Assembly is trying to find support, giving them lunch, water every day for them to be able to do it for us, because everybody should be on board.
What's the population of this area we're covering?
We're looking at 127,000.
So what message do you have for all of these 127,000 people who will be approached for contact tracing or testing?
Thank you. Before we even went to the field, we had to do some announcement within the communities. Those who have the CIC community information centers, we send the information to them. We gave them the pen drive to also blow the information. We invited the chiefs and the imams, though they are not, they don't gather the people, but they have ways of communicating to their people, and they also inform them about it. So they also send them, disseminated information to the people. But now what I'm also entreating the residents of Wejabawe is that we are lucky to have this facility. It's not all the municipality that has this opportunity to test everybody within them, because if you are negative, they educate you as what to do so that you don't contract it. And if you are positive, quickly they have to manage. You have to manage. They treat you and then help you to manage it. So if you don't know, that is where it becomes a problem. So every resident within Wejabawe, take this the advantage of this opportunity, get tested, know your status, and know what you have to do. And if we are all able to do this, I believe we will not get to the stage where we even have to go through the lockdown. Now we don't even know when government is going to lift up the ban, but we all adhere to the protocols and then also allow ourselves to be tested. Within the shortest possible time, we go back and
We're still on the frontline segment, and you've heard from those who were involved in contact tracing today about logistics. I'm taking you to Korle Bu Teaching Hospital now. We've cited a letter written by the Department of Accident and Emergency Doctors. It is addressed to the head of department and the frontline workers there who may have come in contact with the first case to be recorded there say they were informed only 24 hours after the case was confirmed as positive. We'll be trying to get some of them to speak to us, but of course in these cases it's very difficult to reach to speak. But I'll read to you excerpts of the letter before we take an appeal by doctors urging you to stay home here on Frontline. It says that we wish to express our general dissatisfaction with the preparedness or lack thereof of the department to combat the current COVID-19. Then they go on to say that although this is an existential threat, the case, like most other suspected cases that they have seen so far, was isolated at the side ward at Yellow, a situation they have complained severally about. They say that ward is not ideal for isolating patient potential cases, and because it exposes both patients and nurses to infection. They also talk about the fact that they were told only 24 hours after the case has been confirmed. They were also not told about it earlier. The letter goes on to say that we have also had to rely on information given to us by members of other departments of the hospital. To compound this, the frontline personnel who saw the case were only informed about the positive results 24 hours after the test had come back as positive. I bring you an appeal being made by doctors, by the way. But let me go on the line and speak to Dr. Bayo, Dr. Titus Bayo. He's a Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Doc, thank you so much this afternoon. And let me start by saying here on Frontline, on this particular show, all we do is celebrate people who are risking it all to help with this situation.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the efforts to celebrate the dedication and hard work of doctors and health workers in general in this very difficult time. Right.
So, as part of celebrating you, this afternoon before we came on air, we understand that there is a situation that some of the doctors at the Department of Emergency at Korle Bu Teaching Hospital are unhappy about. They say that there is the first recorded case, but those who may have come into contact with this case were only told about the positive results 24 hours after that. What do you know about this case?
I don't have the full details of this case, but I am not surprised because the GMA has had cause to make some complaints about this at some of our meetings to the teams managing and the protocols for reporting cases, that it needed to be reviewed, because I don't think this is the first time we are hearing of something like this, if it is true. Because there have been cases where doctors have been sitting with patients waiting for confirmed results, only to hear of it either in the news or to have closed and gone home before later being called back that the results was indeed positive. And it is because of the protocols involved in the reporting, which we have cause to ask that they really need to review it. Because if it is so, then it's very, very, very unfortunate. I'm not very much appraised with the Korle Bu particular case, but I think if it is so, I won't be very surprised, because we've had concerns to complain about this.
And having spoken about that, what sort of stories do your colleagues share with you on a daily basis since COVID-19? What have their experiences been?
Okay, so some of the experiences are basically the lack of PPE. And I think, again, it is one of the complaints we took to the Interministerial Committee and took to the government team. And that's why when they launched the number 311, if you remember, I think the Minister of Information said people who have complaints about PPEs not reaching them should call that to give a feedback. Because we keep hearing government saying they have given out PPEs, they've distributed PPEs, but at the front line, where the action is really needed, these PPEs seem not to be getting there. So we do not know how to reconcile the two. We have people sending us messages across the country where sometimes you go to an entire unit and they are just giving one box of masks, which means that it cannot, it will not be enough for the people on duty at that time.
Right.
In some instances, people have to come to work, roam around asking for masks, just surgical masks, not even the N95, which is the recommended one when you are dealing with COVID-19. So these are I've had hospitals from the Upper West, from the Upper East complaining as of yesterday. Some of them, the whole district hospital or some region, the polyclinic, they are woefully inadequate. You know, so I think those are some of the complaints we have gotten, and I think these are very disturbing. And it was the reason why the ministry launched that number, so that people can give direct feedback.
Okay. Right, Dr. Bayo, what we would do here on the show is to continue to highlight these issues and get government to respond. But for us, one of the things we want to do is to encourage these people who are going the extra mile in these difficult times to keep at it, even as we look for solutions to all these problems that they raise. So if any of them have any interesting stories we can share as we go along here on this segment, we hope to do it as often as possible so we can highlight the good work that they're doing on the ground. Doc, thank you so much.
I don't know, but I would say that we appreciate this effort very much. There are certainly very trying and very good stories of people improvising, doing their very best to deal with the situation with the little they have. The honest truth, however, is that when it comes to PPE, they are as essential as life when it comes to this condition.
All right.
And so it is something people cannot innovate when it is not there, because it will be putting your very life at risk. So we are hopeful that stories like this will call all those in management to sit up and take innovative decisions and take practical measures to protect the frontline health worker, nurses, doctors, everybody. Because if these very people get sick, then our battle against COVID-19 is at risk.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bayo. Dr. Titus Bayo is Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. This is the Frontline on the Pulse. I'm going to talk to you about some goodwill messages that some of my colleagues are bringing your way. If you work in any hospital, if you work within the security agencies and you are exposed to people, you don't know your fate as far as contracting the disease is concerned. But before that, I bring you an appeal by doctors asking you to stay at home. So the whole world has issues with PPEs. America is complaining. Italy has had to get help from China. China itself had its own issues earlier on. So for those of you at the front line, those of you at the front line were saying thank you. And for those of you at home, this is what the doctors want you to know.
Wannan annoba da ta same mu tabbacecce ne. Likitoci masu kwararrun da kula da wannan ciwo muna kokari mu kauda wannan ciwo, amma kowa yi kokari ya yi nasa. Don Allah saboda annabi muna da kowa ya saura gida.
COVID-19 dolala sesionya na atala maragbo yo pepe alonga atanku dolala alona kwashi kokete pe dolala garo ena kokemua ye na taku dolala eta ko le bevien bana cloche na ko achi pla azanla na ko cloche adaba ko plave na achi pla azanla malio na zan achi ko na ba sanitizer na ko li la shinwe adaba ko plave na wa dolala bi vio katan la shinno pala mianchi na miana na dolala na maga kakao pala mianchi na mia kwalanchu
mabehe coronavirus durungoma ni muhaye to anyele dimya suru dibe kpana yina sambanni biya ku kabin sha'anan da sambanni nin kpalin mayinga.
And on to some goodwill messages from some of my colleagues here at Multimedia.
It's Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy FM. Now, one of my favorite quotes is from Ralph Emerson. He says, "To know that even one life breathed easier because you lived, that is to have succeeded." And this is a very special message to our frontline health workers who are working so hard to make sure we breathe easier, to make sure that we live a comfortable life. In these times, we say kudos and thank you so much. We actually are grateful eternally to all our frontline staff, our doctors, nurses, our policemen, our officials, as well our military men who are ensuring that we're staying at home. All of you are our heroes. God bless you and thank you so much for all that you're doing for Ghana. God bless you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nathaniel Atto, a journalist who is the son of a medical doctor and brother to a medical doctor. Over the years, I've had a fair appreciation of what not only medical doctors, but all health professionals go through on a daily basis in the theaters, in the consulting rooms, and of course, in the wards. During this period that COVID-19 is threatening our very existence as a people, we would like to say a very, very big word of encouragement to all health professionals who have put themselves in the front line to battle this rather unfortunate spread of COVID-19. To every single health professional, I say thumbs up, keep up the good work, and we pray that together, as we all support you, all of this will come to an end. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I like to say thumbs up to every single health professional at the front line of all of this.
And some of you have been sending in WhatsApp messages to us congratulating and supporting all these health workers or other people who are at the front line. Before I bring you that as we end, Multipack Company Limited is a producer of 5-star energy drink and Perla water. They've donated some items as well to the Ghana Police Service to help fight against the spread of coronavirus in the country. The sales and marketing manager of Multipack Limited, Rabia Boji, said the items are to augment the supplies of the Ghana Police Service in a bid to, enforce the lockdown so we help curb the spread of COVID-19. Well, sincere apologies for that there, but we'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. But thank you so much to that company that's helping make the life of those who are at the front lines a bit easier. Like I said, I'll end Frontline today with these messages that some of you have been sharing with us in a bit to encourage those who are working for all of us. We appreciate you, all of you. This has been Frontline. Let me bring you Pastor Mensa Otabel with some encouraging words. We've all had to be quarantined. Some of us have had to be at home in lockdown. Some of you are actually dealing with this disease. Some of you, 204 of you, have had coronavirus. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching, here are some good words from Pastor Mensa Otabel for you.
Good day, and you are facing the challenges of life with a lot of confidence. Remember, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind. One way to defeat fear is to trust God. And how do we trust Him? We trust His word. We don't see Him, but we know what He's saying. It's like somebody standing behind you whom you don't see, but issues instructions to you as to where to go, turn left, turn right. You may not see the person, but if you obey the voice, you can walk in the instruction the person is giving to you. And that's what the voice of the Lord is like. We don't see Him, but we know His voice. His voice is given to us in His written word, the Bible. Psalm 29, verses 5 to 7 says, "The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. Yes, the Lord splinters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes them also skip like a calf, Lebanon and Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord divides the flames of fire." The voice of the Lord divides the flames of fire. God's word is so strong that it is able to put fire out, and it is able to still storms, and it's able to provide guidance and direction. And so spend time in His word. And in this season, as you're battling all the things you're hearing, you're wondering about your own health and your loved ones and what's going to happen to them, there's so much information that can terrify you. There's so much you hear that can make you kill yourself. So go back to the voice of God. Go to the Bible, go to the Word of God, read it. And I would encourage you, spend time in the Psalms and read those words of assurance from people who have walked where you are walking and faced what you are faced with. And the voice of the Lord will cause every fire to be quenched before you. The voice of the Lord will break the cedars. The cedars were very huge trees, very powerful trees. And the psalmist says God's voice can break them. Isn't it comforting to know that the voice of God can break big things out of our lives? The voice of God can quench fires. And may the voice of the Lord quench the fire of every virus around you. Even if by mistake there has been an infection, may the voice of the Lord bring healing to you. I speak life to you. I speak health to you. I speak deliverance to you. You may be infected, but you will not die. I cover you with life. I cover you with the power of God. I speak goodness to you, and I declare it will be good for you. It will be well with you, and you will come out victorious. The devil is a liar. He's not going to win this one against you. The voice of the Lord is your strength. Stick your minds and your heart in His voice, and He will guide you in a smooth place. After all this is over, there will be a lot to celebrate and thank God for. There'll be a lot to laugh over and celebrate. And you'll be one of those who will be smiling and celebrating and high-fiving your friend without any sanitizer.
Pastor Mensa Otabel with those words. I hope that it soothes your heart this afternoon, even as we all deal with this very difficult situation we find ourselves in. We'll wrap up the show shortly, but Maxwell Agbaba was also out and about taking a look at the enforcement on the Weja-Gbari Road. Take a look.
Another checkpoint here at the Weja toll booth. What happens here is that security personnel stationed here will screen all passengers who are made to get out of any commercial vehicle they are traveling in. Their identities are checked. But those who do not have any important reason to be out there and are non-essential service providers, they are made to return home. For those who have good reason to be out, they are allowed to continue their journey. But some passengers think that this exercise is inconvenient. They say that they have to drop many times on the road to pick other vehicles to continue their journey. I've been speaking to the Wager MTTD commander, and he's been explaining to me how the exercise is going on here.
Actually, as you can see, we are making sure that anybody who is not supposed to cross to the other end wouldn't be allowed. However, I know there are some essential workers who has to be allowed to go and perform their duties. We allow those who are supposed to be, but if you are not supposed to be allowed, we wouldn't let you go. Oh, sorry for the inconvenience, but as we all know, as the situation demands, that's how we are working. Like the trotro that comes along, it's not all the people on board the trotro who are essential workers. So we need to examine. If we're about a full of trotro, we have 2 essential workers in it. We will let you alight, then we find a different car for you to go to work. And that's exactly what we are doing. But for those who are not allowed to cross, we wouldn't allow you.
And Maxwell Agbagba filed that report there. Before we go, the Ghana Immigration Service has a word for property owners and landlords. It is urging them to volunteer information on arrival date of tenants into the country to the service. Now, it says that the Ghana Immigration Service urge all property owners and landlords to immediately furnish the service with information on their tenants, that's Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians, who traveled into the country from the 3rd to 23rd of March 2020. This is to enable the GIS to effectively and efficiently identify such individuals through contact tracing for the Ghana Health Service and to assess and manage them. We'll bring you more of that story in our subsequent bulletins. For now, log on to myjoyonline.com. There is more information there. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of that page. Our YouTube link is there. You can follow all of our programs from here. My name is Gifty Andopia. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Remember to stay at home. Let's stop the spread of coronavirus.